Oh man, so many stories, so many things to get to today. Well, first of all, we have the UK essentially trying to interfere in our elections. You got the left now accusing Elon Musk of using Russia to interfere in our elections. You have, just madness going on right before the election. You get Kamala Harris bombing yet another interview, essentially bombing a town hall. This bombshell report from the Atlantic about Trump being a quote unquote fascist coming out, saying that he wanted generals just like Hitler's. And then according to an ABC poll that came out today, half of Americans think Trump is a fascist. And then there was that story about Matt Taibbi and Paul Thacker put out a Substack article talking about how basically the Center for Countering Digital Hate, founded in 2018 by Morgan McSweeney, who was the chief of staff to the British Prime Minister Starmer, is actually been advising Tim Walz and Kamala Harris on their campaign, and they have put out someone had leaked documents from within the CCDH saying that kill Musk's Twitter is at the top of the agenda, and then tied to the CCDH is a black ops from the CEO to silence RFK Jr. So dude, just all kinds of madness going on. We are like in crunch time for the election, and I don't even want to know what's going to happen coming down this home stretch, because this week alone we have Trump says his favorite, or says that he wishes his generals were like Hitler's generals, apparently. And then you have a former Sports Illustrated swimsuit model who was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, saying she went up to, Trump Tower and Trump groped her to impress Epstein or whatever. Waited 30 years to bring that story out until the election's just weeks away. You have the Elon Musk thing about him being in secret contact with Putin. Then you have people like Keith Olbermann losing their minds over the Elon Musk story, saying that he needs to be arrested and his property confiscated. But Keith Olbermann, he is anti-fascist. He doesn't want to do he wants to do fascist things to protect us from fascism. Now, just crazy day, crazy week. I would recommend, if you would like to see the stories. So what I'm doing here with the pod and everything is, due to chaos of life, I'm doing it 3 days a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On those days, I release everything I talk about in the podcast. And you'll see the link below in a certain format. Okay, I can't say without getting throttled. But check that out, and that will have all the news stories I talk about here, and then I'll throw in the extras, anything I find interesting. I give you a rundown of like my comments on some of the stories, and then I just make a nice list of other links. So check that out, completely free. Sign up for it, get it checked into your email, and so yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just until I graduated with my PhD in June. And my wife's in medical school, so I'm kind of getting on my feet. So I'm trying to find a way to balance this, because I don't make any money doing this. This is something I enjoy doing very much. It's my favorite thing to do, but doesn't pay the bills. So I'm trying to balance work life in between. I was doing this at one point. I was doing this twice a day, then doing it 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and now I just said, you know what? I'll just do it 3 days a week. More involved. I'll give you all my information with it. So if that's something you want to do, check out that link. In the meantime, could you please like and subscribe and comment and stuff on my videos? I'm sure they're getting throttled on one major platform, if you know what I mean, because they were doing pretty decent on there, and then all of a sudden just boop, dropped off a cliff. But so last video I was talking, or podcast, I guess. If you're listening to the audio version too, could you please subscribe and give me a good review if you'd like. I'm trying to make this a little bit more engaging in a way, but also more informational, like something more valuable to you to listen to. So you're actually getting news stories and stuff out of this. I'm just working on it. This is in its infancy, so I think this will work out in the long run doing it this way. But last episode, I was talking about how the Harris campaign is very, very much, vilifying Trump for basically hanging out with his rich billionaire friends, and he's going to give them tax cuts and help them out and all this stuff. And it's like, we all know they're talking about Elon Musk, right? And Trump himself is wealthy, so they hate wealthy people. But there is a list I gave out last time of people that support Kamala Harris through the Future Forward PAC. One of them being Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn. Now, I found a very funny clip earlier. It's from 2 months ago, but I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was humorous. And it is a clip of Jake Tapper talking to him on CNN. This is from the Washington Free Beacon. Cool newsletter to sign up for. I get it every day. I get so many newsletters a day. I try to read them all. I get the Free Beacon. I get the Epic Times. I get the Zero Hedge one. I get so many. There's a bunch of them. I get Mises is a good one. Mises.org. Sign up for there. Like, there's so many good ones. And the Free Washington Free Beacon, they have news, a news website, and they also send out or have a YouTube channel. It's got interesting stuff. This clip was on there, and it's Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, talking to Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper is asking him, because the story went around a while ago. Reid Hoffman is averse to the Federal Trade Commission head, Lena Khan, and he wants her to be replaced. And he's an ardent Kamala Harris supporter. He's one of the people that said, I'm talking about Reid Hoffman, talking about how, yeah, she'll jack up prices, but it doesn't really hurt us very much because we're so ultra wealthy. Now, that is a thing about progressivism, is they pretend like they want to help the middle class and help poor people by making the rich pay their fair share. But what they're actually intending to do is penalize anybody that's in the middle class, or, that's a smaller company, and their corporation, the corporatism wins out, right? So the the uber rich people that support them benefit. So the whole, we want to protect the middle class, it's a lie. It's a way that progressivism works. But so Reid Hoffman is a ardent Kamala supporter, and this is a video clip showing him talking to Jake Tapper about her supporting him supporting Kamala Harris, and it's pretty funny. It's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But this is the thing about this. The way that so the way Democrats exist is in a world, this fake, made up fantasy world where things like what I'm about to show you, they think are acceptable ways for adult human beings to act. So here, let me show you this.
To Vice President Harris, suggesting also that she replace
the
head of the FTC, which donors. So Reid Hoffman joins us now. Reid, thanks for joining us. So you and other big money donors are giving money to Vice President Harris, suggesting also that she replace the head of the FTC, which impacts policy and the economy. What do you say to somebody who watches this and says, this isn't how American politics should work, rich people getting to buy levels of influence?
Well, I totally agree with not buying levels of influence. I separate my role as a donor and expert. So if you ask me as a donor, I say I'm giving money to Kamala Harris because I think she's the best future president for the U.S., for business, for a bunch of other things. If you ask me as an expert about what kind of Lena Khan is doing and whether I think she is helping or hurting America relative to your anti-merger policies, which are, mostly to bring litigation versus, really solidly grounded in kind of what's going on and what helps American business thrive here and overseas, then I give an expert opinion. But I think donor and expert should be kept separate. And I've never tied the two ever in any conversation anywhere I've ever had.
Right. But I mean, that world doesn't really exist where people say, okay, now I'm talking to Reid Hoffman, the donor, and Reid Hoffman, the guy with political ideas, I'm going to put into the other room. I mean, politicians are are human, and if they know that you and Barry Diller and other big donors are giving a lot of cash and want to get rid of Lena Khan from the FTC, they might listen to that more than they would listen to it from somebody in a restaurant.
Well, this is one of the things where I don't ever show up at the White House saying, I think you should do this. I mean, one of the things that President Biden has said to me every time he's met me is I never ask for anything, because all that I'm trying to do is help our leaders be the best governors. Now, if I'm asked as an expert, and, for example, shows like this, CNN, say, well, what do you think is the right expert point of view? I would say, well, here's what I think as an expert. And maybe people will listen to me more. Maybe you'll have me on television because I'm a donor. But I definitely myself distinguish between my role as a donor and my role as an expert. And I don't ever, when I'm doing fundraisers or anything else, I never say, I'm only going to do a fundraiser for you if, or, since we're doing.
Right, so you get the gist here. This dude is literally saying that he doesn't influence policy as a donor. He only tries to do it as an expert. But, when he's an expert, just don't think of him as being the donor. Like they live in crazy world. If you watch that whole clip, it's just mind blowing. And Jake Tapper is like, "What?" He looks at him. He's like, "What? Yeah, but there's not like 100 Reid Hoffmans out there, that people look at and they're like." And I was thinking, like, what do you like? Turn around and you're like, you turn around, you like take your glasses off, and you're like, "All right, I'm Reid Hoffman, the donor now." And then you turn around and put them back on. And you're like, "All right, now I'm Reid Hoffman, the expert." Like it's some Superman thing. I don't know how an adult human being thinks that way. Listen, the guy's very wealthy, so he obviously must be some semblance of intelligent, but the people that he's talking to, he must not think are very intelligent, because human beings don't compartmentalize like that. It's not like you're at an event with him and you're like, he's like, "Hold on, let me put on my donor glasses. Let me take my donor glasses off." It's preposterous. So these are the people that support Kamala Harris. These are the people that Harris is getting advice from. Now, of course, Donald Trump is the evil one because he hangs out with evil Elon Musk. But we're not going to talk about that because we're not going to talk about her hanging out with billionaires because she's got the good intentions that Trump doesn't have. Now, to the grand story, one of the grand stories of the week. Now, Donald Trump, the whole thing about him being a fascist or whatever, it really has, it's just meaningless to people. And that shouldn't be the case if this was an actual threat, right? People, let's just say the story was true, which it's been very strongly denied by people who were there. It sounds made up to me. It's also written by the same guy who wrote the Suckers and Losers article in the same publication that, wrote that article and pushed that article a few weeks ago that I wrote or read that said Trump is Mussolini, Stalin, and Hitler rolled into one. Okay. This story, if it were true, let's just say, and it'd be frustrating to all hell if you're the Atlantic trying to tell this story and nobody believes you. And you would think, why does nobody believe me? It's because you guys have cried wolf way too much when it comes to this dude. Donald Trump, if he's president, is hardly a threat. Okay? He's not a threat, but he's the reason that he's a threat is because of the people he represents. It's not because of him himself. He's not very intelligent he's not very well read on anything. Okay. I think he has got good gut instincts. He's probably got good business sense. I wouldn't sit there and say the dude's a grossly intelligent person. He's probably smart enough. He's good with, promotion, and he's made a career for himself. So you got that going on. But, when he was in office, a big problem with him is he's not very well read on any issue. So he has to depend on experts in the White House or experts in his staff. And in Washington, D.C., that is a dangerous position to be in because you open yourself up to all kinds of, all kinds of deep state type Washington establishment, political class type people who will see that and you look like they see you coming from a mile away. You are handed to them on a silver platter. And because of that, he depended on these people. He got nothing accomplished when he was in office the first time. Yes, I know the economy was better and all that stuff. I don't think that, did he have anything to do with that? Maybe a little bit. There were some things that were admirable. We were focusing more on, trying to be a net exporter of oil again. And, the attempts at trying to cut back on some things were good, but in reality, he spent more money than any president before him with that disgustingly large spending bill. So he didn't really do much in office. They're trying to sell you on this idea that he's the world's biggest threat. I don't really know why, because with the level of pushback he got from the deep state, from the establishment, from the military industrial complex, including these generals who are out saying, making up stories about him, saying that he's a fascist. He didn't get much accomplished. And what they're afraid of is that this round, he learned his lesson and he's not going to depend on them now. And then he'll want to get back at them for the crap that they did to him. They know what they did to him. They know there was government overreach. They know they probably did borderline illegal things, if not illegal things, to try to get him to stay out of office. They're very corrupt in their dealings with him, and they're afraid that he's going to be smart enough to realize that and come after them. So now they're in full-blown panic, break the glass in case of emergency mode, pull out more Hitler and sexual assault stories. So, and the issue with this is, they're this afraid of him in a future thing. People don't buy it. First of all, they've seen him be president before. The people that hate his guts, people at the TDS, the people showing up at neighbors with Trump signs in their yard, they showed up at their house, ringing on the doorbell, telling them they're a terrible person. I'm sure you've seen the same videos I have. People like that is, they're going to hate him no matter what. They're going to think he's the greatest threat ever. They just hate his guts. They want him to be. They want to feel that hatred toward him. It's a driving force in their life. When it comes to what normal people that don't have Trump derangement syndrome, people that are not not insiders in politics and entertainment and all those other things, normal people, it's like, you've cried wolf too many times. Nobody buys it anymore. Listen, let's name off the things he's been so far. He's been a racist, a rapist, a misogynist, a sexist, a homophobe, a threat to democracy, an insurrectionist, a traitor, a Putin apologist, an agent of Putin, a Russian agent. He's been He's been Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini. He's insane. He's deranged. You go down the list. He's been it all. And we're back here. We're back to he's a criminal. He's a felon. We're back to this one. We're here again. We're back for where we started. Because this goes back to the very fine people thing, right? Here we are. Square one. And it's the stories coming from John Kelly in the Atlantic came out days removed from the upcoming election. So here's the story. I wrote about this. You can check it out if you feel like it. Down below. So Trump says, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. This is by Jeffrey Goldberg, the same person that wrote the Suckers and Losers article. He likes to draw on a lot of anonymous sources who just happened to be there when nobody else was around. First of all, This article is kind of all over the place. It's very sporadic, but it starts off with a story about Trump being at offering to pay for the funeral of an Army private who was murdered at Fort Hood, Texas. Trump, according to Goldberg, made a public show of saying, hey, I'm going to pay for it. Like, trying to basically just saying that he's just bloviating. He's just trying to look like he's a good guy. In reality, he hates these people and he's just going to. And so then several, I don't know, months later or whatever, so when did that happen? It was April 2020. So then like around December, near the end of Trump's term, at some meeting with his staff, including Kash Patel being there and other people, Trump asked about what happened with that whole funeral. And they said, oh, it cost about $60,000. And Trump freaks out because he's not going to pay for it, calls her a effing Mexican, saying it doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican. And then Trump goes on a tirade, right? Then, which is bizarre, later on down the story in this first part of the column, or the first part of the story, the writer says, well, he got a statement from Pfeiffer. Let me read this part here. Alex Pfeiffer, a spokesperson for Trump, got an email. He got an email. So Goldberg got an email from Alex Pfeiffer saying that the sister of the Army private who was murdered said she praised Trump. She was very grateful for what he did for her family. But then the lawyer of the family claims that Trump never paid a dime. Then Goldberg got statements from other people that said the story is preposterous and never happened. But we continue to go on and act like, oh, it's just what happened. Now, further on down, then we get into this story about Trump near the end of his term going up to his chief of staff, John Kelly, a Marine Corps general, who Trump apparently wanted to know more about German generals, is what he claims. Why can't you be like the German generals? And Kelly was like, well, what German generals are you talking about? And Kelly goes, well, clearly Trump's too stupid to know about, Otto von Bismarck and his generals in the Franco-Prussian War. So I asked him, and he's like, no. He's like, what about, you're talking about Kaiser Wilhelm's generals during World War I? No. You couldn't be talking about the Third Reich. Yes. Okay. This has not been backed up by anybody. This is a story that came out weeks out from the election when they have nothing else they can do but go back to fascism as he's a dictator. That's all they want. He's a dictator. That's all he cares about. Now, my take on this whole thing is I don't buy it for a second because and then, the rest of the article goes on to trash Trump and Trump's a psycho and Trump's evil, blah, blah, it's just typical guy that has TDS. And, he's just a completely different person behind closed doors and nobody cares. Oh, and Milley, his, one of the other generals that were on his staff said he's a fascist. They both said so. Now, this whole story is funny because clearly Kelly thinks Trump's a moron, acts like he's an idiot, he doesn't even know who Bismarck is. Now, I'm sure if you ask Kamala Harris who Bismarck is, she'll know all about it. I'm sure she knows all about the German Wars of Unification, the Franco-Prussian War. I'm sure she knows all about that stuff. She's probably very well versed on that. Helmut von Moltke, the German general, the great Prussian general who passed the torch down to the other von Moltke during World War I. No, she's not going to know jack crap about it either. Okay, so Should they? Yeah, I wish we had presidents and people that were intelligent and knew things about history, but they don't. Trump is not well read on anything. Okay, he just doesn't come across that type of a person to me. This is my opinion. I don't think that if he probably doesn't have a working knowledge of the Franco-Prussian War or Kaiser Wilhelm and his generals during World War I, and he certainly does not have a working knowledge of the Third Reich. I just don't buy that for 2 seconds. So you're trying to convince me that this is a guy that had to lean on everybody during his time as president, to the point where they took advantage of him at every step and fought back at every step. That guy has such a deep working knowledge of the Third Reich that he's going to use that as a blueprint for what he wants to do as a president. That just sounds like a load of crap. But he's a fascist, right? He's a fascist. It's like, in what way? According to the ABC poll, they basically define a fascist as a dictator. They're like somebody who wants authoritarian, an extreme political, someone with extremist political ideologies who wants to silence the opposition and have authoritarian control over power. Okay, that's just a dictator. That's not a fascist. Okay, fascism is a specific type of authoritarianism. But forever we've heard about how Trump is just he loves Hitler and Goebbels, and he idolizes. Like, dude, that guy's never read any of that stuff. Okay, he's got I just assure you, he's not sat down and opened books and read about that stuff. Trump is ardently pro-Israel. He is more so the anti-war candidate. The reason why they claim he's a fascist is because he's nationalistic and he's an isolationist. And of course, the military-industrial complex people don't like that he's an isolationist. We had Kamala Harris out on the circuit this week talking about how when we were isolationist, it ended up bad for us because World War II had to happen. See, once again, she is a very, very, very well-versed historian telling us the chain of events. Please, Kamala, sit down and let's have a conversation about history and tell me what exactly happened. When did we stop becoming isolationist? And why did World War II happen? Why don't you take a good look at probably a guy you all idolize, and Woodrow Wilson and his grand plans for the world and how everything got screwed over. Now, you're talking, this whole scenario has been denied. It's been denied by the family of the person that was, their sister was murdered. It's been denied by people in his staff. And of course, the corporate media is rolling with it. I saw articles today on like MSNBC and CNN talking about how like Trump can't get away from this story. Well, of course not, because he can't get away from it from your side, but nobody else really gives a crap. It's just, dude, it maybe focus on actually doing a good job, and then you wouldn't have to do this stuff, because this just gets old as hell when it's just like, oh, what is he today? Now, Trump had there's a story, it was on, what was it? I think it was the Gateway Pundit or somebody like that. Let me see if I can find it here on my stuff. All right. Oh, so Revolver News had it. It was when by Sean Spicer. And Sean Spicer talked about when John Kelly kind of turned against Trump. Let's see here. It's down here. Today, Megyn Kelly shows she asked Sean Spicer why someone in the Trump administration dislike him so much, especially people like Kelly. Sean gave this example. In Afghanistan, Trump had questions about it when he came into office. The generals and experts presented their papers and briefs. It wasn't enough for Trump, so he brought in a round table of enlisted soldiers and asked them questions about their deployments and what they needed. He listened more to the regular soldiers on the ground than the experts. That is why they hate him. Sounds kind of reasonable to me, like in a reasonable story. Because when it comes to the military, there's nobody smarter in the world when it comes to this stuff than a general, right? These are guys that are the ultimate egoists. Historically, that's the case. And they do not like to be questioned, and they do not like to not be the expert. But we're going on, the election just days out, and this story comes out, and John Kelly waits till this week to put this story out. It's people are over it. People don't care. And that's the sad thing, is if this is a true story, it's pretty screwed up that people don't care. I just don't believe it, because they've done nothing but lie. This is a same journalist who concocted a hoax that is still being perpetuated during every, debate and town hall and interview by Kamala Harris. And you expect us to believe that this story is real when you just have these anonymous sources. Like, I know Mark Halperin, a journalist, said the other day that I saw a story that could come out this week that would ruin Trump's campaign. It's like, we're doing this again? I don't think that's going to happen. His supporters are going to support him at this point, no matter what. So that story came out the same time that somebody waited 30 years until this week, just weeks out from the election, when Kamala Harris is hitting the panic button to say that Trump groped her in Trump Tower with Jeffrey Epstein there. It's like, gee, it's amazing how all these people wait forever to come out and do this. It's ridiculous. We are coming up. They're all they're doing is showing you how absolutely desperate they are. They are grasping at everything they can. They're trying to throw everything at you. You should be terrified of him because of this, because of this, because of this. It's crazy. It's like this story today came out from Elon Musk, about Elon Musk. It's from Politico, another another unbiased, neutral publication who likes both sides equally. Musk has been in secret contact with Putin since 2022, says a bombshell new report. So they go for Trump and they go for Musk, because Elon Musk is a way bigger threat than Trump, because Elon Musk owns X. It's one of the biggest social media apps in the world, and it's a free speech app. And he supports Trump. Instantly just the world's biggest threat. To remind you, though, Musk was a threat well before he ever started supporting Trump. They kind of pushed him into Trump's arms, honestly, because, they were constantly going after him because he wanted to make it a free speech platform. They only liked it when it was moderated and censored, especially when the left was the only party that was allowed to say things on there and not get shadow banned. So according to the story, he's been in touch with Putin since late 2022. They've even had talks this year. And when he started to talk to Putin is when he started to ramp up his criticism of Ukraine. God forbid. Apparently, Putin once asked Musk to avoid activating the Starlink satellite internet server over Taiwan as a favor to Xi Jinping. Now, it doesn't say in the story whether that happened or not. It just says that Putin asked. Now, of course, look at this. The Bombshell claims it landed at a critical time in the U.S. election campaign, but the businessman's influence extends far beyond politics. Via his social network platform X and his tech company, SpaceX, through which he has megabucks government contracts and high-level security clearance. classified U.S. information. So they're trying to play this as now he's a major threat to national security. He has security clearance. He gets money from the U.S. government. He's a threat. He's dangerous to our to democracy. Now, at one point, Musk had given free Starlink access to Ukraine. Then he stopped paying for it for them. That's a problem to the Democrats and the left. And he even let Russia have Starlink satellites because, or have Starlink terminals because, you're just not allowed to do that with countries we're not at war with. And then at some points, it says here, Musk started parroting Kremlin talking points. Just began tweeting a series of Kremlin talking points about the war. He presented a plan for peace, but triggered major pushback from top officials in Kiev, even from President Zelensky himself. Do you guys want to see what the major pushback is? Wait till you're going to be blown away. So I can't believe that Zelensky hit him with this one, but which Elon Musk do you like more? One who supports Ukraine, one who supports Russia. Man, I don't know how Elon Musk ever recovered from that major pushback. Nuts. So apparently they talked about space and future technology this year, and some spokesperson within Putin's camp said that BS, that they're like regularly talking. Of course, they claim it's secret communication because, you're not, Elon Musk is a businessman. Russia is a market. And, but this is what this is going to be. This is going to be Russian interference 2.0. They're going to come at, remember the whole thing with, what the hell was it? That media company, Tenet Media. They were, Tenet Media was paying for people like Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and all these people that are, to push Russian propaganda. And what they claim in this article is Kremlin talking points is that Ukraine should come to the negotiating table and end this war. Hey everybody, it's October 25th, 2024, and the war is still going on. Okay. This is never going to end unless there's a negotiated peace. And Russia can probably outlast Ukraine. And and people are needlessly dying. This needs to end. But you can't say that because you have to wish. Well, you don't want Ukraine to win? You want Ukraine to win? Listen, I want the thing to end. I'm sick of giving my money to it. Our government's money to it. Not our government's money. Our American people's money to it. I'm sick of funding needless death and having that president walk around and pretend like there's some bastion of democracy when he cancels elections, cancels opposition journalists, censors people. If they come to a negotiated peace, the war ends. Zelensky has to stand for an election. He's not going to want to do that. He's been an icon, a martyr, if you will, during this whole time. He gets the sympathies of Hollywood, and he gets to go and talk to people, at these major award shows. And you got Sean Penn giving him an Oscar. I know it's gonna help you, man, but here's an Oscar. I'm sure that's just what they needed. But this story, dude, the left has lost their minds over this. The left, I guess, I mean Democrats, liberals, idiots in general, are losing it over this thing. This is like the worst thing in the world to them. Here's one in particular I thought was ridiculous. Let me find it here. Did he dig it down? No way. Let's see. I commented on it, or what I did was I shared it, or I re-exed it. Here we go. Get ready for this, because oops, wrong thing. Hold on. Let me open up this one. Shut that one down. Okay, so Keith Olbermann says, We need to arrest and detain Elon Musk immediately. He is operating on behalf of Russia. Cancel all contracts, seize his facilities, lock him away in a military facility now, POTUS, not tomorrow. I'm sure Keith Olbermann is an anti-fascist. He hates fascism, right? But hey, we need to lock Elon Musk away and take everything away from him because he spoke to Putin. That's foreign interference in our elections, don't you know? That is a big no-no, right? You're not allowed to do that. Foreign interference is insanely, it's way over the line. Okay? You can't do that. But, oh, wait. Oh, man. I just contradicted myself here. Everybody, I'm sorry, okay? I forgot. But wait, never mind. I'm not wrong, because it's okay if Democrats do it. Me. If Elon Musk does it, it's a problem. But Trump does it, but and like, does anybody buy for 2 seconds that Trump is being manipulated by Putin to do anything? Our whole government is in bed with foreign governments all the time. There's a reason why we fork over, unfathomable sums of money to countries that are not the United States of America. Now, this story should really piss you off because Morgan McSweeney, this is from Racket News, which is a Substack by Matt Taibbi and I can't forget his name, Paul Thacker. Matt Taibbi, formerly of the Rolling Stone, probably have seen him several times on the Joe Rogan Experience. He did the Twitter files. This is an article put out that Morgan McSweeney, who was one of the founders of the Center for Countering Digital Hate, who is now advising Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in their campaign, okay, his group had some files leaked, and on their agenda every month, the top of the list is kill Musk's Twitter. Right there. Right there. Right there, right there, right there. This is from March of 2024, in January of 2024, in October 6th of 2024. It is the top priority. Now, Politico calls the Labour Party, which is the party that McSweeney works for. He is the chief of staff to Starmer, who is the current prime minister of the UK. He is McSweeney is one of his top guys, and the Labour Party is what they call sister parties with the Democratic Party. In case you're not aware what's going on over there in the UK, why don't you do a little digging and see how they're treating people who speak out against the British government? Because people are getting their lives ruined for crap they post on social media. And, this is a person who, what do you think of when you hear an organization called the Center for Countering Digital Hate? I think of free speech too. I think of the First Amendment. You think of, you think of somebody who is using hate speech as a guise to silence people forever. Hate speech and misinformation. Amy Klobuchar is a senator who they met with. Amy Klobuchar loves to combat misinformation. It is a number one, one of the major issues that she stands on is combating misinformation. Now, I've been doing some digging. I've been using my Obsidian software to build a nice little map going over, all the place of different topics. And one of the things I've been interested in is the whole thing about misinformation. When did misinformation become a major focus? What do other places have to say about misinformation? Other countries have to say about misinformation, etc. And I wanted to show you this. Now, the top, let's see, like one of the top global risks, according to the freaking World Economic Forum. Oh, where did I go? Let me fix my thing. Let me make me nice and little. I mean, you still can't see that all the way, can you? I'll make me nice and tiny for you. Look at that. Look at the little lamb. World Economic Forum. Misinformation and disinformation are the biggest short-term risks to the globe. And they are the biggest risks to democracy, according to the WEF. You wouldn't believe it. The rise of disinformation, misinformation, and AI. Look at that. Top. And what do you think the Labor Party is doing when it comes to the globalist progressive stuff? Do you think that they want to be kind of secluded from it? Oh, no. They want to be all a part of it. Just like the Democratic Party of the United States wants to be. This is all part of a bigger plan, my friends. See? Disinformation is a threat to our trust ecosystem. And misinformation and disinformation is just information that is incorrect or intentionally deceiving. The problem is who gets to set whether information is correct or incorrect. It's not you or I. It is people of great power. And guess what? They're wrong all the time. Just like we all are. Humans are always wrong. There's nobody that gets it right 100% of the time. Never. You or I. I know we live in this system where we have a confirmation bias and we think no matter what we do, we're right all the time. You're not. And there's no way in hell the government is right. They're wrong all the time. In fact, in my opinion, they're wrong about everything. They're wrong about the way that they want to solve our problems. They're wrong about the things that about their policies. They're wrong about everything. And look at what they did to us over the last freaking 40 years, okay? But they're the ones that get to combat misinformation. So there you have it. Kamala Harris's campaign is working hand in hand with a person who has an organization that is targeting misinformation and hate speech, helping her try to win the election here. And he is also known as like this election guru type guy. Man, spicy, right? We have a very spicy upcoming election. Sorry about the cough drop. Still kind of in recovery mode. Brain recovery too from whatever the hell I had. That was awful. Brain fog has been better today, but some days I have it. I'm just like, whoa. My last podcast, I felt like I was living in a different planet. Now, interestingly enough, when it comes to this story about Kamala working with McSweeney, the CEO of this group called the Center for Countering Digital Hate is a person named, trying to find her name here, Imran Ahmed. They like to advise politicians around the world on all sorts of policy. And now today, as we watch the left meltdown about Russia, this fellow here is one of the founders and the CEO of the Center of Countering Digital Hate. Well, he says that he got busted with this leaked information orchestrating a black ops campaign to silence RFK Jr. Okay? They were worried about him having a big impact on the election, which means they wanted to what? Oh, they would like to, have their candidate win. In case you don't remember, RFK Jr. was originally running to be a Democrat nominee because he's a Kennedy. He's a Democrat Party royalty. But, can't have that. You got to have somebody that's more malleable than that. Somebody who actually doesn't have a brain to think for themselves. So this organization was literally the word that's used as a black ops against RFK. Now, this article from Vigilant News, it's in the publication I listed below in the link. Check that out. There's all sorts of potential laws being broken here. The CCDH has tax-exempt status, and they, by trying to influence our policies and elections, they should not be able to have that. But the government over there is denying that they are, they're not sending anybody over, though, to advise people. They're just going there on their own. Oh, okay. That's okay then. Oh, it's so infuriating. Where's the outrage over this? Oh, you don't care because they're combating free speech, which means that the left will win because the left hates free speech and they love censorship, and they would love nothing more than to have your freaking rights to free speech ripped away from you, for one. And then, and then the biggest threat to when it comes to Russia is that, people like Musk and Trump don't want to give money to Ukraine, and that's a big problem. They also have this obsession with the last election that Trump won, that somehow Russia was the reason why he won it. Absurdity. We live in a clown world. Speaking of, it's not election day, but come election day, I would like to show you my collection of election mailers I've gotten, like little, one page, like little cardboard ads for candidates. You will not believe how many of these things I got. So I got the mail. I have to go down, get my mail out of a mailbox with the key. I try to get my mail every day this week just to see how it goes. I usually wait a few days. At least 7 or 8 things a day. Okay? Like, you should see this pile. Talk about clown world. Wait till you see that. I'll show it to you come election day. I got 26 of them. 26 of them in 2 days. Text messages, 30 text messages a day, phone calls. It's crazy. They all say the same thing. One of them is this stupid thing people do. It's like whether you vote or not is public record. Let's see. Well, your ballot is private. Whether you vote or not is public record. To beat back far-right victories and end gun violence, we need everyone on board. Like what? Piss off. You don't want your friends and family to see that you didn't vote, did you? Well, they can go F themselves if they care. Well, you let Trump win. You let the bad people win. Oh, these people disgust me. I want this election to be over so bad. So bad. But I don't. At the same time, I'm terrified. And I'm not terrified of what happens if Kamala wins. I am terrified about what happens if Trump pulls it out. The left is going to explode. So here we go. Another brilliant story. Here we go. You won't believe it, but a poll, according to ABC News, they are totally unbiased. Half of Americans see Donald Trump as a fascist. Now, the original X post that I saw this on said, half of Americans see him as a fascist, including his supporters. They just don't care. yeah, okay, let's live in fantasy world together. All right, so you see this, right? This is the statistics they come up with. 49% of registered voters in the national survey say Trump is a fascist, which they defined as a political extremist who seeks to act as a dictator, disregards individual rights, and threatens to use force against their opponents. Now, for the record, that is not fascism. Okay? That is a dictatorship. That is authoritarianism. By your very definition, every dictatorship in history is fascism. That's not what fascism is. Fascism is a very specific type of political ideology tied to authoritarianism and extreme nationalism. It's corporatism, nationalism, a state-driven economy. There's a lot to fascism. That's not just what fascism is. That's just a dictatorship. I digress. That's the thing, is you say this, you say 49% of registered voters say that he is one, but they obviously don't know what fascism is, and neither do you. So that should be meaningless up front, but Kamala's up there saying he's a fascist. And she did say that she did go up to the podium after the whole Trump-Hitler thing and say things like, he praised Hitler's generals, like she did this praise Hitler's generals, like this groundbreaking, just, campaign ending press conference. And it's like, dude, you just got clowned big time. That did nothing but hurt you. Here we go. Now, to be honest, progressives have far more in common with actual fascism than whatever the hell he is. He's a populist, right? A lot of progressive policies kind of align with each other when it comes to fascism. Now, only 18% say Harris is a fascist. 32% say neither is a fascist. Now, also, over 65% of people said that Trump, or registered voters said that Trump lies more than Kamala does. So their point here is like, well, even the people that support him know he's a fascist and they don't care. This is the important part about polls. Okay? So before you see this and you go, whoa, that's insane if that's true. There's 161,420,000 registered voters in the United States. That's a lot of people. So in order for them to say like almost 50% of people, you're talking what? 70 million voters-ish. Compared, if you do the percentage, I'm not doing the full math. I'm just saying, let's say it was a low ball and say 70 million people. Holy crap, 70 million people think Trump's a fascist. Even the people that are going to support him. That's what you think, right? When you see this. Well, here's the methodology. This ABC News Ipsos poll was conducted online via the probability-based Ipsos Knowledge Panel from October 18th to 22nd, 2024 in English and Spanish among a random national sample of 2,808 adults, including 2,392 registered voters. Partisan divisions are 29 to 29% to 30% Republicans, Democrats, Republicans, Independents among all respondents, and 32-29 among registered voters. So 32% Democrats, 32% Republicans, 29% Independents. Results have a margin of sampling error of plus or minus 2 percentage points, including the design effect for the full sample of registered voters alike. Read this number. 2,392 people represent 70 million Americans, or registered voters, which should be Americans, but you never know these days. Like, this is the insanity of stuff. This article was written solely for the shock factor that the headline represents, because a lot of people that hate Trump very, very much, just read the headlines. If you don't believe me, if you have an X account or don't have one, get one. Go to the Harris HQ, or Kamala HQ, website or Twitter account, X account, Twix account, and start scrolling down and look at the videos they post and look at the captions, read the captions, watch the videos. And you will go, wow. And look at the comments. People are outraged, freaking out about everything that's in the caption. Well, you watch the video and you're like, wait, what? It didn't say this at all. They do that throughout the entire thing. It's because they just read headlines. They read this headline and they go, wow, 50% of Trump supporters think he's a fascist. And they still support him. 2,392 people. Okay. 32% of which are Republicans. And Republican is a loose term these days. But, let's just say, a few hundred of those are Trump supporters. And then you got, 80 of them say he's a fascist. Which I still don't buy it. But it's very incredible that this is the logic they put out. To have people definitively say that half of Americans think he's a fascist. And he's a liar. If you watch Kamala Harris and you think she's not a liar, you're kidding yourself. Every time she's at the podium and she's up there and all she does is turn every question into attack on Donald Trump, turn it around about him. She's lying to you. She's lying to you about her record as vice president. She's lying to you about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. She's lied to you about crime statistics, employment statistics, economic statistics. She lies about every story about Trump. She still says the very fine people thing, suckers and losers. You name it. Everything. Okay? They both lie. It's just the reality of it. These candidates both suck equally. This is the best we could come up with. But this story by ABC News is so deceptive. It's insane. It's like, it was conducted online via the probability-based Ipsos knowledge panel among a random national sample of 2,808 adults. There are a lot of factors that come into this. Who is willing to do these polls? Especially if it's a randomly conducted poll online. We don't know what the poll said up front. Is Donald Trump a fascist? Answer in my poll, yes or no. Right? There's a lot of people out there that would, especially if you have TDS or something, you could take major advantage of that. So, ridiculous, but that's what we're here for. They're there to jam that BS down your throat that he is a fascist. They don't know what fascism is. Okay? Sorry, I don't know why I just blinked my screen out there, but I wanted to rapid fire some last minute stories here at you. So, excuse me, I'm going to chew this disgusting cough drop. Ooh, it's so awful. Why is that the most disgusting thing ever? Before I hit these news stories, can you please like and subscribe to my channel, like my content? Give me a like. Just give me one like, please. That's all I ask. Now, story here says, those close to Kamala tell her it's time to drop the vibes and focus on actual policy or she'll lose to Trump. Now, according to what I read, Kamala Harris is kind of testing the patience of the people within her party. She did a town hall where all she did was turn everything into Trump. Even CNN and all these other, they turned on her saying like, listen, all she did was talk about Trump. It says here that, she needs to drop the kumbaya stunt and focus on actual issues. Now, she doesn't have actually any principles. She stands on nothing. She doesn't talk about the issues that actually matter. And when mainstream media or corporate media turns on you like that and you're Kamala Harris, I think there's a lot of panic going on right now. Barack Obama's out there doing his thing, trying to guilt people into voting for her, you know, just disappointed in people that don't want to vote for her because she's a woman, because that's what they claim is the reason people don't want to vote for her, not because she's a part of a current administration that sucks. So you have that. Then whenever they ask her an actual question about anything, she never answers the question. She just does the word salad thing, gives you nothing. And then in the end, she makes it about Trump, right? If you watch the clips from that town hall, it was absolutely awful. It was just a biggest waste of time. And I can see coming out when it comes to at this stage of the game when they're throwing out all these crazy stories. I think you can clearly see that they're freaking out. They are freaking out right now. All right. Now, political loser Hillary Clinton says that Trump is more unhinged and more unstable than he was in 2016. She went on Caitlin Collins' show on CNN, The Source. I think you see all the time on both his rallies and his kind of word salad after word salad speeches, because, you know, Kamala Harris doesn't do that. And then when asked about Kamala's campaign, I think she's running her campaign based on a lot of the lessons that we have learned over the last 8 years. First and foremost, how dangerous Donald Trump is. That's it. That's the lesson they've learned, is how dangerous he is. And her warnings are, you know, people need to actually heed those, because he's actually dangerous. I can't stand on listening to her talk. It's like now there was another statement here about him having a Nazi rally or something in front of Madison Square Garden. Like, what are you even talking about? Find that now. All this will be in the link I gave you, but yeah, she says that Madison Square Garden event that Trump is doing is a Nazi rally. He's actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally of 1939. You can read about it in her book. I'm sure I will be one of many people lined up to read that thing. It's, oh boy. It's just, the whole Nazi thing is absurd. Yeah, because Trump has such a deep working knowledge of Nazi history that he's really sentimental about that one. Another story came out today from Wall Street Journal. Woke progressive policies are destroying our military. Nobody wants to join the military now because of the woke progressive policies. One of the biggest reasons people join the military is because they had family members join. And people, now that they see what the military has become, they're no longer advising family members to join our military. And our military has become quite a joke. And if you ever listen to my episodes, there are plenty of instances I've showed you where, like, our military is failing. We are no longer, you know, like, if we have an actual conflict up and coming, we are not capable of handling anything. It will be terrifying. You know, we have this whole the DEI Biden progressive policies have been awful for the military, awful for their government, awful for, I mean, government already sucks always, but awful for all these things. The Washington Post, a left-wing publication, will not endorse either Trump or Harris for president. This is a publication owned by Amazon, mind you, Jeffrey Bezos, and they will not endorse Kamala Harris. Do you hear me? That is crazy. That tells you that there's not a whole lot of excitement when it comes to her campaign. I think they all know they're on the precipice of total disaster. And they are probably pissed off that they stuck with her, and when it came down to this point, it's too late now to turn back. Last couple stories here. The Pentagon adamantly denies the military has been authorized to use deadly force against American citizens. I'm sure you saw that story. It's been going around that there is a, let me see the name of it. The Department of Defense Directive 5240, which allegedly gave the Pentagon the power to use lethal force to kill Americans on U.S. soil, according to RFK, those who protest government policies. Now the Pentagon denies these claims. They are not new, and they do not authorize the DoD to use lethal force against U.S. citizens or people located inside the United States, contrary to rumors and rhetoric circulating on social media, said Sue Go, a Pentagon spokeswoman. Apparently, the Pentagon regularly updates directives. So I guess, what do you think about this? Because there are lots of sketchy things that could come about with this upcoming election where I would see them maybe pushing something like this through. And I don't think they're prepping to use it on Democrats protesting Trump's win. Let's just say that. And it's not because they're going to be so peaceful either. They're going to be rioting the streets if he wins. Story from the Gateway Pundit. Peak waste, Fed set record for improper payments. Now, the Biden administration has lost almost $764 billion of our money to fraudsters. That is insane. Trump's administration had given up $673 billion. Do you hear how much money that is? $1.4 trillion. Like, oh, that's nothing. That's just nothing. You cannot fathom how much $1 trillion are. They said since 2003, when the government first started tracking improper payments, it's estimated that they've added up to more than $2.7 trillion, according to payment.accuracy.gov. That, and then so much of it was blown during the pandemic. People took total advantage of that. It was fraud beyond fraud. Over $953 billion in PPP loans were given to small businesses so they could stay afloat. And the government ended up forgiving $793 billion of it. This article is in the publication if you want to check it out. But that is insane. That is terrifying. And if you or I were to forget to talk about $10, forget to tell them about $10 of income, this has happened to me. I've talked about this many times. Kiora sends me a royalty check every once in a while for like $10. I mean, it's nothing, right? They just deposit $10 in my bank account through like Stripe. I don't even pay attention. It's such a minuscule amount of money. I don't even pay attention to it, especially in this economy. $10 is like one item. So they apparently send out a W-9 or whatever, and I didn't claim my $10 one time. And the IRS charged me a $30 fee for that and sent me threatening letters until I paid for it. That's okay for them to do that, but it's not okay for me to withhold the $10 from them, but they should be able to just they should just be able to piss away trillions of dollars on fraud, and we should just forgive it. Just like the military just happens to, they just try, misallocate money. So who cares? What, the peons are going to be mad? Last on my list here was Thomas Massey, who is one of my favorite people in our government, has endorsed Donald Trump for president. So not shocking at this point. I mean, we're getting down to the wire. But I think there's a lot of people in like the libertarian world or the more centrist world or the people that the anti-government world, anti-establishment world that are really just really praying for Kamala to lose. I think that's what a lot of people will support Trump for. And I saw Dave Smith, part of the problem, talking about this earlier this week, saying he might support him simply because he's seen Kamala Harris up there making the rounds, talking about how proud they are that they got Dick and Liz Cheney's endorsement. And I think, man, that is so true, how disgusting that is. Like, you are, and then I saw that Tim Walz was like, well, let's the libertarians come over. I almost spit coffee all over my computer when he said libertarians can come over because Dick Cheney gave them permission to do so. You all can have Dick Cheney forever. Nobody wants him back, or her. But all right, well, I'm going to call this video here. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Please, if you would like to check out the sources for today's video, go to the description below. I will put in the comments where it says links to this video. I try to avoid saying any other platform in this because I feel like it gets throttled if I do on certain platforms. And if you could just comment and like and you know, just help me move it along, share this video with somebody, share the publication with people you think would be interested. I'm going to do that 3 days a week now. Whatever I read in the morning, put in my show, I will write a newsletter for you. It's a lot of work. Like, it takes up like a big chunk of my day. I love doing it. I'm not asking for money or anything like that. I'm really just asking for eyeballs. So if you could pay me and people that would be interested, pay me in views, I will be so appreciative because I love doing this. I love being able to share these news with people and share these stories with people and talk about the insanity of the world we live in and talk about how big of a joke this whole thing is. So if that's something that somebody in your life might like, just let them sign up. And if you want to do a paid subscription, that would really help me out. But I'm not asking anybody to do that. I just would like any help I can get. Times are tight and it does take up a lot of my time. So please just subscribe. That would be the best payment anybody could give me, is just a like, a subscribe, and a share. And, comment if you appreciate what I'm doing. If you want me to talk about anything else, I have a Civil War medicine podcast coming out in about 2 weeks. That one will be completely different tone, obviously. That'll be on my other publication, History on a Whim. But I'll put the link in that when I have it up, if that sounds something you'll be interested in. And just give me a follow once again. Thank you for watching this video. And I would like to show you my sleeping cat, but he is sacked out. He's laying like a shrimp with his arm over his eyes, so I'm not going to wake him up. But I would show him to you so I could guilt you into liking my video. If you love him, you should like my video, but he's asleep. So, all right, God bless. Have a good weekend. I will not be back tomorrow because I have things happening. I'll be back Monday with a newsletter and a video. Thank you. Goodbye.